Today we are talking about how to use essential oils safely with children. So by the end of today's workshop, what I'm hoping that you'll get from today is basically to be more confident in using essential oils with children aged 3 to 12. Last week, we did a workshop on using essential oils with babies and toddlers, so your under 2s. This week, we're talking about 3 and up. The other thing that I'm hoping that you'll get from today's workshop is to know how to use them, like how to use essential oils, what to use them for, and at the end, I'm going to also give you some of my favorite DIY recipes for products that you can use with children. All right, so who am I? Now, I'm going to run most of today's workshop, but I've got a special guest at the end of today who's going to talk to you about how she uses essential oils with her children, and that's Sarah Farah. I probably just need to check that Sarah's on because I can't see her name in the list. But for those of you who don't know me, my name's Kim Thomson. I am an aromatherapist. But before I became an aromatherapist, I actually was a mum. And I tell the story about how I got introduced to Young Living. And basically, it was when I was pregnant. I was planning a home birth with she's now 11, she'll be 12 in September. And while I was planning that home birth, I got, really crazy, I guess. And I went through my whole house and I threw out a whole heap of our cleaning products and basically anything in our house that had any nasty ingredients in it. And my husband said to me, what are we going to clean with? I said, I don't know, but we need to get rid of all this stuff because I'd been doing all this research and I'd been reading books. And anyway, as the birth got closer and closer, I was saying to my midwife, what can I use? Like, what if I, need natural pain relief? Or, I was asking her sort of a million questions. And she gave me a book on natural alternatives to pregnancy and labour and things like that. And I read the book and I made a list of all the products that I wanted. So it was kind of like my first aid kit, if you like. And I went to the health food shop and I said, I want to buy all these things. And the lady at the health food shop just laughed at me and she said, oh, well, most of those are homeopathics and we don't sell homeopathics. And I said, oh, okay. So I couldn't get pretty much most of the things on the list. So I went home and I was telling my mother-in-law about it and she said to me, why don't you use essential oils? I said, oh, okay. So anyway, then she was already using Young Living. So I started to get some Young Living oils through her first because I didn't want to have my own account. I was like, no, I'm not interested. You just order the oils, you get them for me. And anyway, so I started using oils back then. The first oil that was actually given to me was Gentle Baby, and we talked a little bit about that last week. And I do love Gentle Baby for kids of all ages, but I especially loved it, when my 2 girls were really little. So I am into all things natural, obviously home birth, long-term breastfeeding, and the main reason that I run this particular workshop is because I see on the internet, particularly on Instagram and Pinterest and all those websites, sometimes some really crazy stuff about how to use essential oils with children and in particular with babies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff is scary. So there's kind of like 2 extremes. There's like aromatherapist who studied under sort of what we call the British model, if there is such a thing, but at this end of the spectrum. And they're going, oh no, never use oils, It amazes me that they sell anything actually, because some of them are so scary that you can't use essential oils unless you're under the, supervision of a trained aromatherapist, and there's all this scaremongering that goes on down this end. And then you've got, some essential oil distributors or even just mums out there who are at the other end, and they are, using essential oils in some pretty crazy ways. So I developed this workshop to, sorry, I need Jeremy to help Sarah Farah get on. For some reason, she can't get into the workshop. So So she won't be able to be my guest speaker unless she can get on. Maybe someone like Amanda could send her the link. Anyway, so I wanted to create a workshop that, you know, was somewhere in the middle of that. Like, it's basically, you know, essential oils are a really great, you know, thing for parents to use with children, but you just need to use some common sense. And it's funny because I actually have this saying that common sense is not always so common. So yeah, that's, I guess, what we're going to talk about today. All right, so for those of you who are new, or maybe you haven't used essential oils before, essential oils are the most powerful part of the plant. They are basically what we call the lifeblood of the plant. They're distilled from shrubs, flowers, trees, roots, bushes, fruit, rinds, resins, and herbs. So you think about lavender flowers, that's what we use to distill essential oils, peppermint flowers, you know, seeds, so whether that's the carrot seeds, you might have grasses such as vetiver, lemongrass, you might have roots of trees, bark of trees, cinnamon bark, things like that. Even the fruit of certain plants, rinds, so your citruses, your lemons, all of those. Technically, they're not steam distilled, so they're what we call a cold pressed essential oil. Well, you know, essential oils are technically only steam distilled, but all of those are cooked up in big cookers, like the leaves, the bark, resins, and made into essential oils. They basically consist of hundreds of different natural organic compounds, and it's those organic compounds that, you know, basically give us the beneficial they give essential oils the beneficial part. So, and they're basically what makes them work. If you know, you could go and, you know, cook up some essential oils at home, and without, you know, without distilling them properly, you're not going to get all of those hundreds of different compounds coming across in the process. So it really does matter how long you distill an essential oil for, the temperature that you distill it for, and even the pressure of the cookers really matters. And so it's quite a fine art. You know, a lot of people think that, once again, on Pinterest, I see these, you know, posts on how to distill your own essential oils. Sure, you'll get a nice smelling essential oil, but you won't get an oil that's going to do your child or you any real health benefits unless it's distilled properly. So quality really does matter. All right, so how do I use essential oils? You know, the main ways that we use essential oils are inhalation and topical. So as you see in the first picture on the left, just breathing them in from the bottle. You know, if you inhale lavender oil or orange oil or peppermint oil, it's going to lift you up and make you feel good. So it's going to change your emotional state. Popping oils in a diffuser is another great way. Now, you've got to make sure that it's a cold air diffuser. That's really important because we don't want to heat oils. When we heat oils, they lose a lot of their therapeutic value because the constituents in the oils actually split apart and you know, they become, you know, just nice smelling things. They're not actually going to do you as much benefit as if you were to use a cold air diffuser. Which is why, you know, a lot of mums tend to put essential oils in like their vaporizers and things like that. And then you're just getting steam, and you're getting steam on the walls and causing mold, and even just the steam itself. You know, go and Google the effects of steam vaporizers on children with respiratory issues, and you'll see that they actually add to those problems. So you want to get yourself a good quality ultrasonic cold air diffuser. The second way, so that's inhalation or aromatic use of essential oils. The second way is topical use. So you could make up a roller bottle and roll it on your children's feet. You can make up products, like some of the products we're going to talk about today, like chest rubs, skin creams, all of those kinds of things. You can add them to children's baths. So by adding a bath gel, or by making a bath milk, or adding it to a carrier oil and adding it to the bath. And the third way, which is kind of controversial, is actually to use them in food and drinks. Now, the reason it is so controversial and why a lot of aromatherapists say it's a no-no is because a lot of oils aren't of the standard that you would want to be using them in food and drink. However, essential oils have been used for centuries in foods and drinks. So, you think about peppermint essence and lemon essence and rose that's been used in my favorite Turkish delight. Those are basically essential oils. And so, if you use them in small quantities, they're a great additive to, making your favorite cakes or stir fries, or, I love to add them to my water or my smoothies. So essential oils aren't just some new hippie age thing. They've actually been around for centuries. If you go back, obviously they're listed in things like the Ebers Papyrus, which is one of the oldest documents known to man. They're in the Bible. Cleopatra used them. They were found in Tutankhamun's tomb. They've been around for a long, long time. Sure, they weren't steam distilled like we do now because the condenser, which cools down the steam and actually separates the oil from the water, that wasn't invented until Avicenna actually invented it. But back in the time of the Egyptians, they were actually already starting to play around with plant botanicals to mix them in things like hippopotamus fat and olive oil. And they knew about the benefits of plants and trying to, macerate the plant matter, whether it was, frankincense resin or myrrh resin, cypress, onycha, hyssop, all those amazing old essential oils that we now use. Back then they knew how powerful those actual essential oils were. All right, so you want to know about safety, otherwise you wouldn't be on this workshop today. So in terms of some general safety stuff, so I thought I'd start with general safety and then I'll cover off on actual safety for children. I always find it amazing how many people actually haven't read the label on their essential oil bottle. People say to me, how do I use peppermint? And I say, have you read the label? And the thing about the Young Living essential oil labels is they've actually got a little peel here bit, and you can peel it back and there's more information actually underneath that other label. So, if you read the label, it'll tell you whether it's a hot oil and needs to be diluted. It'll tell you how many drops to use in your diffuser. It'll tell you, what single essential oils make it up if it's a blend. All of those kinds of things are written on the label. Now, if you're pregnant, suffer from any medical condition, or you're on medication, then you should speak to your health professional before using essential oils. As I mentioned last week, we did a workshop specifically on pregnancy and using essential oils with babies and toddlers, because there are some essential oils that you shouldn't use during pregnancy. So that's why that's on there. There's certain medical conditions that we're talking about are things like high blood pressure, because there are some contraindications around high blood pressure. Epilepsy, or if your child has epilepsy, then the oils like hyssop are actually contraindicated, which means that they can't be used with children. If your child has a circulation or a blood clotting issue, then you're going to want to avoid, or they're on a blood thinner, such as aspirin or warfarin or things like that, then you're going to want to avoid oils like wintergreen. So, if you do have any medical conditions or you're on medication, if your medication says not to eat grapefruit, then probably you're not going to use grapefruit oil, those kinds of things. You want to keep essential oils out of reach of children. Now, they are very potent. And I guess that's my message today, is that if you use them safely and you dilute them and do all the things that we're going to talk about today, then they're really quite, they can be really quite safe, or what I like to use the term low risk, because nothing is ever 100% safe. I've seen, children have respiratory issues from some of the safest oils, safer oils. So I like to talk in terms of low risk and how do we reduce the risk to children. So one of the main things you're going to do is keep them out of reach of children. They might be natural, but they still can be dangerous. Particularly, I mentioned before the oil wintergreen. Wintergreen has what we call an LD50. Now, all essential oils have this LD, which basically means that it's the number of rats. I know this sounds bad, and Young Living does not test on animals. These numbers come from historical data, not in Young Living, but in the essential oil aromatherapy community all up. LD50 means the number of rats. If they get 100 rats and they give them a certain amount of wintergreen oil or peppermint oil or lavender oil or whatever, when 50% of those rats die, then they know, that's how much oil is safe. So, wintergreen is probably one of the least safe essential oils, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But we need to make sure that we keep that out of reach of children. Now, I think the LD50 on that is about, I think it's about 75 mils. I worked out on, no, it must be 45 mils. I think it's 3 15 ml bottles that they would have to drink of essential oils, which I guess brings me to my next point, is always make sure you get essential oil bottles that have the dropper in the top. And the reason for that is because it's harder for a child to drink a whole bottle. I'm not saying that they can't get there with their teeth and pull that out, but it's just another barrier to a child being able to drink an essential oil if that drip stopper is in the bottle. Young Living actually my girls call these cake lids. They're kind of like bigger lids, and you'll notice that they're on Panaway and Thieves. The oils that we really want to keep away from children, they're actually on the top of, and so they're childproof, so they're harder for children to get into. And then, as I said, you want to make sure that drip stopper is in there as well. You want to keep your oils in a dark place away from heat. So not, on the dashboard of your car or on a window ledge that gets a lot of summer heat, things like that, because essential oils are what we call volatile. Now, I was talking to a lady the other day, and she said, "Oh, volatile, that sounds like they catch on fire." And I said, no, volatile really just means that they evaporate. So yes, essential oils do have a flash point at which they catch on fire, but it's quite high. The reason that they're volatile is basically they will evaporate. So if you leave your lid off your bottle, over time it will evaporate and there'll be none left in the bottle. And particularly if you put them in heat, then it can change the constituents, and you'll find that they, will evaporate faster and things like that. And particularly your oils that aren't steam distilled, because obviously they get heated during the steam distill process. But the oils, like your cold pressed oils, your orange oil, your lemon oil, things like that, they are actually, they do go off over time, whereas your steam distilled oils will last like forever. But your cold pressed ones that come from the rind of the orange or the lemon, grapefruit, lime, all of those things, they do go off. And if it smells off, it is off, and they'll go off faster. They actually oxidize, and they'll oxidize faster if you do leave them in a hot area, or if you don't store your essential oils in dark bottles, which is why Young Living have their bottles as amber. And whenever you make roller bottles, if you want it to last a long time, another trick is to always use the amber ones. Sure, they're not as pretty as the roller bottles in this picture, and if you put in crystals and things like that, but just remember that your essential oils will last longer if you put them in amber coloured bottles. All right, the next thing is to avoid sunlight. So if you're using the photosensitive oils, and most of the photosensitive oils as a general rule are your citruses. There are some citruses that don't have photosensitive properties like tangerine and lime. I have another video and a page on my website on which oils are photosensitive, and they also have degrees of photosensitivity. Like bergamot is really highly photosensitive, whereas orange not so much, kind of. And it also depends whether they are cold pressed or whether they're steam distilled. So you can look that information up. There are actually 3 places you shouldn't use essential oils. They are, normally when I'm doing this as a workshop, I get people to guess, and maybe you can put it in the chat if you know where the 3 places are that you can't use essential oils. But basically, essential oils are, they irritate the mucous membranes. So the 3 places are your eyes. So yes, you might find recipes where you could put essential oils in your hands and cup it over your eyes, but you would never drip essential oils directly into your eyes. You never drip essential oils directly into your ears. Most recipes will have you putting it around the ear or on cotton balls and things like that. And the 3rd place is actually your genital area, particularly for babies and children. So when you're putting them in the bath, you're not going to put in tons of essential oil that is going to irritate their vagina or their penis, or any, basically, with babies and children, you've got to remember that they go under the water. So if your child is prone to, you know, dunking their head under the water, then you're going to want to be careful which essential oils you put in their bath, because it's going to get in their eyes and in their ears. And I know that Lyndall is, I'm pretty sure, is on the call, and she always used to tell me to use my pinky to apply the essential oils. Now, this is a trick, because especially at the moment, everyone's saying, don't touch your face, don't touch your face. Well, have you ever noticed that if you use your pointer finger to put peppermint on, or, you know, maybe you're putting it on your temples, or maybe you're putting it on a spot on your face or something like that, the next minute you always have something in your eye and you have to get it out, and you always use your pointer finger to touch your eye. But you very rarely use your pinky finger to actually to get something out of your eye. So if you use your pinky finger to apply your oils to your temples or to spots or whatever it is that you're doing, then it's very unlikely that you're then going to stick it in your eye, and then you're not going to get peppermint or wintergreen or anything like that in your eye. And the other thing is, particularly in skincare, you apply a lot less pressure by using your pinky than you do if you use your pointer finger, okay? So just a few tips there. All right, some specific safety guidelines for children. So children are sensitive, okay? They're not little adults. Their livers and things like that haven't fully developed. So, you know, obviously if a child weighs a quarter of an adult, you know, common sense would say we'll use about a quarter, but you probably want to use even less. So if you're going to use, say, 4 drops in the diffuser or 6 drops in the diffuser for you, then you're probably going to use less drops in a diffuser for your child than you would, because they are breathing that in. I mean, there's lots of research out there that shows, you know, basically scent is the fastest of our senses that gets to the brain. And within, you know, something like 20 seconds, it gets into our bloodstream, and within 3 minutes or something like that, it's throughout our whole body. You know, so with children, because their livers, their lungs, all their organs haven't fully, you know, formed and developed, where they're still getting there, you want to diffuse less drops than you would if it was an adult. You also want to avoid using essential oils neat on, you know, I talked about the baths. And the best way to actually put essential oils into a child's bath is by using a bath gel. Young Living Kid Sense bath gel, or even the normal plain, well, Young Living call it a base and shower gel base. They're great, because the thing is, if you use bicarb soda or Epsom salts, or even you know, any of those kinds of powder things, they've actually found that it doesn't fully disperse. It does a better job than you know, just dripping the oils into the bath, because remember that oil and water don't mix. So what happens in our children's baths if we put essential oil in is that we put it in and we fill up the bath, and you'll see, if you have a careful look, big globules of essential oil floating on the top of the bath. Now, when you're an adult, you're a lot bigger and you sit a lot higher in the bath, so you're not necessarily breathing that all in. But if you're a child and you're sitting in the bath, you're going to be a lot closer to that essential oil that's floating on the top of the bath water. You're also, you know, your skin is a lot thinner as a child, and so you're going to actually absorb a lot more of the essential oil that's in the bath water into your bloodstream, and you're going to get it in there quite fast. So using a bath gel is actually going to help disperse, because it's fat soluble. Essential oils are what we call lipids, or, you know, they're fat soluble, which means that they only get broken up by other fats. So oil and water don't mix. So you want to make sure that you're dispersing that properly throughout the bath water. Something this month's news, well, June, we're going into June. June's newsletter for our, our newsletter is called Making Sense, and you can subscribe to it on the Hot Oily Mama website. But our article is actually some things about diffusing that you may not know. And one of the things that actually, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about putting oils in your bath, putting them in the diffuser, or even putting them in a glass of water, always put the oil in first, okay? Now, one of the things that I wrote in the newsletter is, how old were you when you found that out? Because a lot of people don't do that. They fill the diffuser up with the water and then they drip the oils in. Or they, they fill their glass or their water bottle up with water and then they drip the oils in. By putting oils in the bath or in the diffuser or in the glass first, and then filling it up, the water itself, just the pressure of filling it up, actually helps to disperse the essential oils as well. And your diffuser will smell stronger for longer if you actually do that. And it's a good idea to do that in the bath as well. Put the bath gel, drip the essential oils onto the bath gel, right underneath the tap, and then the water comes down. All right, simply wearing essential oils is a great way to help children to get used to them, particularly if you're new to using essential oils and your child hasn't actually ever, been exposed to them before. Then you wearing them, or even getting them something like a diffuser bracelet or a diffuser necklace, helps them to get used to it without actually putting it on their skin. And that, we want to go slow. Because you don't want to have your child have a bad reaction or anything like that. And with every new essential oil, always dilute heavily. I'm going to talk a lot about dilution in a minute, and spot test for a reaction on the child's leg or their arm. So usually somewhere where it's not going to be obvious if they did have a reaction, but up on their shoulder or on the top of their leg is a good place to spot test for essential oils. And when first using essential oils topically on your child, start on their feet. Their feet are a lot thicker, the skin on the feet. So, once you've diluted in a roller bottle or anything like that, start by applying it on their feet. Roll it on the bottoms of their feet before they go to bed. And then work up the body, okay? Because with children, and this is more so true for babies and toddlers, we actually don't use essential oils above their shoulders. But as children get older, especially with my girls, they're now 9 and 11, I am starting to put oils on their skin, on their face, and on their temples, and on their head, particularly in their hair, and I'm going to talk about that too. But start on the feet and work the way up, okay? And dilute. I cannot stress this enough. Now, that's not to say that, when I first started with Young Living, I did, use oils neat on my children and things like that. But the reality is, I've seen so many mums send me messages going, oh my God, what have I done to my child? That, my children haven't been, fully vaccinated. They haven't been exposed to chemicals. We don't live in a house where, there's lots of cleaning products, or I wasn't in a job where I was exposed to lots of cleaning products. I haven't been on lots of medications. They haven't been on medications or antibiotics or things like that. So therefore, they have less things in their body for the essential oils to actually react with. Whereas if you, and that might be true for your child as well, but if you're telling a friend or a neighbor or someone you meet at the park, oh, look, you should use Thieves or Peppermint, or, yeah, look, I slathered my child with Peppermint and that was fine. You don't know that child at the park didn't just get their immunizations yesterday. You didn't know that they weren't on antibiotics last week. You don't know that their house isn't full of mold, or they've just had, their house flea bombed, or, I guess without a full history, you don't know what's going on in that other child's life. So that's why I encourage, particularly when you're new to essential oils and you're just starting out, I encourage very, very heavy dilution, a lot heavier than, what you'll see some essential oil distributors posting about. And that's because I have seen the opposite. I've seen people have bad reactions. And as you're get used to it and your family starts cutting out the chemicals and getting healthier and all of that kind of stuff, then sure, you can start and use oils in, a lot smaller dilution than what I've suggested here. The other thing is that the reason there's a range is, say, for example, you've got a 2-year-old who probably is highly been exposed to lots of chemicals, then you're probably going to use the 10 drops in 50 mils. Whereas if you've got a 6-year-old who, has lives in a fairly chemical-free environment, then you could use the 15 drops. So just use, once again, common sense to work out how many drops of essential oil you're going to use in the 50 mils of carrier oil. And when I talk carrier oil, I mean a good quality carrier oil, so not your canola vegetable oil that you buy from the supermarket, although you can use good quality olive oil if you don't have anything else. But the things that I love are things like jojoba, which is technically a wax, but I love jojoba oil to dilute in. I love virgin coconut oil, although it does set hard in winter. I love almond oil, apricot kernel, macadamia oil is so close to our skin, just like jojoba. And Young Living has this amazing carrier oil called V6, which is actually 7 different carrier oils, like sunflower. I love grapeseed as well, wheat germ. The thing about using V6 though is I don't use it with babies because I don't know whether they have a nut allergy, and because there are certain nuts and also the wheat germ. Now, some people who have gluten intolerances can use wheat germ oil, but others can't. So you once again want to make sure you spot test on your child to make sure that they're not going to have a reaction to the carrier oil. Like if you have a child with a nut allergy, you're probably not going to use almond oil as your carrier oil. All right. There are some essential oils that we like to avoid with children. The first of which is Idaho tansy, not blue tansy that you find in Valor, but Idaho tansy. Hyssop, I mentioned hyssop before, particularly for epilepsy. You want to avoid sage and clary sage. They both have sort of the estrogen and type properties. You want to avoid wintergreen. That's the one that thins the blood. And with under 3s, obviously the peppermint and eucalyptus. Now, some aromatherapists will actually include peppermint and eucalyptus on the list right up to age 10. I haven't seen any real research to support that. However, if you are cautious or your child has respiratory issues, then they probably are 2 that I would avoid, or at least use with caution. They're ones that I would use with caution, even with over 3-year-olds. You're not going to go and, slather peppermint oil neat on your child or wax some eucalyptus on them, things like that. But diffusing and using them in blends, all of that kind of stuff as they get older, you might just dilute them a little bit heavier than you would, say, something like lavender or tea tree. But yeah, peppermint and eucalyptus are on the list because it's something like 1 in 10,000 children goes into respiratory distress and they find it difficult to breathe after inhaling peppermint or eucalyptus oil. All right, so some of my favourite essential oils to use with children. I talked about what you can't use, so let's talk about what you can. Now, I'm going to unmute my dear friend Sarah Farah at this stage, although I have got a slide that introduces her later. Can you unmute yourself, Sarah?
Hi.
Are you there?
Hello.
I can't hear Sarah. Oh, there she is, but can you talk? I can't hear you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Some reason your sound isn't working.
Oh, I
can hear her, Kim, if that helps.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Sorry,
I can hear.
Okay.
All right. So, Sarah, as I go through, do you want to talk about some of these oils?
Yes, I would love to. So the first 2 that I can see that's on the slide is Peace and Calming. Oh, where is it? Sorry about that.
There's Peace Calming, Valor and Orange on this one.
Yes. And honestly, these 2, Peace and Calming and Valor, were my first 2 oils ever. And they were a game changer for me. So when I first had a girlfriend from Mother's Group actually share with me about Young Living and about the essential oils, I was just like, I was at my tether. I couldn't, we weren't sleeping. I had a 6-month-old who had a variety of different issues going on and he just wasn't sleeping. He was just all over the place. And I was like, you can't help me with a bottle of this. What do you think this is? So anyway, she ended up gifting me some for Christmas. So back then you didn't need to get a premium starter kit or anything. You could just get a few oils and get started. So anyway, these two were in her bundle. I think maybe like a lavender as well, something else childlike. And oh my gosh, I fell in love with them. They just changed our world drastically. So then Valley was sleeping. He was content. He was calm. I was calm. We weren't pulling each other's hair out. It was just absolutely amazing. So the first way that we used them was diffusing and then rolling on his feet. And I could not, like, I'm so grateful for these two oils. So now every day these two are in my life. It's like they're my best friends. I love them personally for me as well. Even going to work, if many of you know me or don't know me, I'm an early childhood teacher. So I'm around kids all the time. So these two are so calming and soothing to have on. Like I wear them as a perfume, and I just feel so relaxed. For me, peace and calming has so many magic moments, with just giving yourself be able to take a breath. That's the best way I can use that. And it smells divine. It smells, I wish I could smell it with you. Can you smell that? It just smells so sweet. And so subtle. I don't know. I just absolutely love it. And then
can I just tell people that it's actually got orange, tangerine, ylang-ylang, patchouli, and blue tansy. So blue tansy mixed with tangerine gives it the beautiful green color that it is. But patchouli and ylang-ylang are great for the big emotions. So if your child suffers with, as they're learning how to deal with their big emotions, then, peace and calming is great for that.
Even for mums who suffer big emotions. So this is a mum's best friend, a dad's best friend, and a baby's best friend, and a child. What I love about this one is this one actually has one of the same oils, doesn't it, Kim?
Yes, has blue tansy.
Which I'm thinking blue tansy is my favorite. So because it's got this in it, it is my little bottle of courage. So I have another little boy, Luca, and he needs a lot of courage. He is very soft. He's very gentle. He won't step out of his comfort zone. So he needs a lot of courage. So this oil ended up turning into his oil. But even sometimes, like at the moment, I love wearing this one as a perfume. Just, I don't know, it gives me strength to go, this is what I'm doing today. And then it's amazing. And it's actually like this bluey color. I don't know if you can see.
That's the blue tansy. I actually add blue tansy to my hair conditioner to have that blue, blue shampoo and blue conditioner.
Yeah. It's amazing. I've even added a little bit of blue tansy to my moisturizer because that is actually really good for skin as well.
I used to use Rescue Remedy a lot, working for a government department that works with families and children who have lots of difficulties. I used to roll myself in I used to take Rescue Remedy and use Rescue Remedy a lot. And then I slowly replaced it with Valor, and I found it worked a lot better. So diffusing it, putting it in a roller bottle.
Yes. So. And then orange, I've since learnt from my little buddy, Vicky Pollard, I think she might be on, orange goes really good to add to all of these calming oils, even though you don't think it would be, but it really goes really well to make you happy, and just gives it that little bit more oomph. So I've learnt that little tip as well.
And who wouldn't want to be calm and happy? Every house wants to be more calm and more happy. So orange is great to diffuse. I've got lots and lots of recipes for using orange oil. I love to add orange oil in my homemade deodorants because it's really, really great to put under our arms. And maybe you can go away and Google some of the benefits of orange and why I might do that. But it's also great to add to your food and drinks. So I love it to add to water, smoothies. It's in Young Living's Ninja red because, obviously all the citrus oils are high in D-limonene. So, yeah, and dark chocolate. Do you do that?
I do. So, where you melt dark chocolate and then I just pop it into some molds, just the ones from Kmart. So you can have ducks or love hearts or stars. And I add a drop of orange oil. And oh my gosh, it's like having like a Jaffa lolly, and it's amazing. And it's so much healthier.
Yeah. All right. What about these three? Do you use them with your boys?
I do. I'm an oil crazy nutter. So I actually, as I look at lavender, I actually have a different oil for different children. So Valley more needs like the peace and calming. Luca, on the other hand, is more a lavender boy. So that sort of brings up that everyone is like a snowflake. And I say that in a good way, not a negative way, that you have to work out what is best for you. So with Luca, lavender really calms him. It's perfect for him before bedtime, in the bath, or rolling on his feet in the diffuser. You can use it for so many things like skin. It just has this beautiful florally smell to it. However, I have noticed for some children, it can make them quite high. So because my middle child is quite high all the time, that continues to make him high. So for Valley in particular, that doesn't work for him. So that's when like this root, like it's sort of more rooty, I suppose this one is more centered to him. So lavender for Luca, peace and calming for Valley. And then when we get to it, frankincense for Jerry. So I've got 3 boys. So they're all completely different.
Yeah. And they are. And the thing is, I guess not only can different essential oils work differently with different people and different children, but even the amount. So some parents actually think if they throw more lavender oil in the diffuser at bedtime, it's actually going to work better. But you and I both know that's not true, is it?
No. So I did try that because when I was starting out, lavender was for restless children. So that's what I did, but it just made him more and more happy.
Yeah, and it can, like, essential oils are basically what they do is, you don't need very much of them to actually work. And sometimes by using too much, you get the opposite reaction. And lavender is one of those oils that I've found that happen. So often when mums send me a message and say, oh my God, I had to pull them off the roof last night. That lavender doesn't work. And I say, oh, how many drops did you use? And they're like 10 and it wasn't working. I just kept adding more. And I'm like, no, that's the worst thing. So, less is best. These oils are so potent, so concentrated that, you don't want to use too much. One of the other things, I heard Kylie Bryant say this on last week's Oils with Babies and Children's workshop. She called the kids' care out of the kids' sense the Kiss It Better oil. Well, this is kind of like my Kiss It Better oil with my girls. And we have the Lavaderm spray, which is basically lavender and aloe vera in a spray bottle mixed up in the fridge. And whenever the girls, and I know, as I said, Lyndall, who introduced me to the oils, is on this call, when the girls were little, it was always, do you want the special spray? That was their special spray. So whether they bumped themselves, whether they fell over, whatever it was the special spray that calmed them down and made them better. So that's why it's the Kiss It Better oil.
Yes. We actually use for our Kiss It Better, it's actually the Clariderm spray?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, that one works better for our kids.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that it's different for different people. So peppermint. So I mentioned before about not using peppermint with children until they're over 3. I've got my chest rub recipe coming up, but I love to add it to chest rubs. Head tension for mums, and even, as your child gets older, like my daughter, some days she doesn't drink enough water at school and things like that, and she comes home, she's got a bit of head tension happening. I might, make her up a roller bottle with some peppermint oil and get her to roll it on her temples or the back of her neck. But more and more as sorry, I just said she was 10, but she's 11. She'll kill me if she hears this video. For focus and concentration when they're doing exams. And lemon's great for that too. So do you
actually spilt some peppermint this morning on my little oily bench top here. So I feel really awake. So if I'm a bit...
It does. It peps you up. It wakes you up. So you don't want to give it to your children close to bedtime. Don't put that one in the diffuser or in the bath. Lemon, like orange, is also the happy oil, great for focus and concentration. Add it to food and drinks. What else?
I actually have got this amazing, I haven't even posted it yet, but lemon oil at the moment for me in person, I don't know, like after pregnancy and different things, you know how your heels can get a bit rough?
Mm-hmm.
Well, mine have been so rough and really sore. Anyway, I've been dropping some lemon oil and oh my gosh, they are so smooth and amazing. I'm very impressed.
Well, and it also gets rid of lots of sticky stuff, and mums use it for getting rid of crayon, mix it with some vinegar and, you know, or like it's like the cleaner oil.
Yes. It's actually really good for in the bathroom on the tiles as well. Makes it all nice and sparkly.
Nice. You can even make natural bleach out of lemon oil and peroxide. So, all right, you said you use frankincense. Tell us about Jerry and frankincense.
Okay, so Jerry is just frankincense all the time. So he has it all day long. So he has it before going to bed in particular. He is just a frankincense baby. Of course, he's the most expensive of them all. He loves it just on here, on the top of his head. I don't know why, but for him, just putting a little bit there, like reading a story and calming down, it just sort of centers him and gets him ready for that nighttime routine. And also on the bottom of his feet. And even I do pop some frankincense in my chest rub. I absolutely love it for that reason as well, and also in the diffuser. But I don't know, it's very earthy frankincense, and so I suppose it's that sort of like calming, I suppose, for him.
Yeah. So I read here that it was the anti-monster oil. So if your child gets a little bit anxious about turning the light off and going to bed, then diffusing frankincense is really great for that, or any times when they might feel a little bit anxious. I sort of alternate with Caitlin with the frankincense and the Valor oil. Great for any unhappy skin that you might come across, whether that's on babies, under their nappies, or inside their arms, you know, wherever they've got any unhappy skin. If you want it to be happier, then, you know, dilute some frankincense. You said about yes, on their top of their head, yes, for their hair and stuff, any dry, unhappy skin. It's also, you mentioned about the chest rub. So with over threes, I'm going to show you that recipe in a little while, but for for babies and toddlers, 1 drop frankincense, 1 drop lavender, 1 drop lemon, mixed in some coconut oil, and that, you know, 50 grams of coconut oil, because remember we want to dilute it a lot, makes a great chest rub for babies. What about Stress Away? How much do you love Stress Away? Oh,
it's like a mum's best friend. I actually had, I don't know who I hugged. I hugged somebody and I had it on the back of my neck here. And they said, "Oh, you smell like a musk lolly." And then they were like, couldn't stop smelling me. They were like going, "You smell so good and so relaxing." So that was a really nice compliment.
Yeah. So the name really does say it all. Yeah. You know, it's a great first day at school oil. Or I also love Valor for that as well. Before you go into exams, if you get a little bit stressed, you know, or your child gets a bit stressed about school or things like that, then you can use Stress Away.
I've actually got some little rollers in my cupboard at work, and all the girls from work that I work with, because we're obviously looking after a lot of children and a lot of different emotions going on, and they will sometimes like come back and do a little bit of a roll, which is nice.
Yeah, I love to pop a roller on it and roll it on my wrists and the back of my neck, and even just diffusing it. I know Sharon Blackall, who you introduced to Young Living. She's a assistant principal at a local school, and their school actually diffuse lavender and Stress Away in the classrooms, and they've found amazing benefits from doing that. So yes, quite an amazing oil. What about RC? Do you put that in chest rubs for your older boys?
I do. It's absolutely amazing. It just smells like, well, I know that it is all these different type of eucalyptuses, I suppose, all rolled in together. And it just clears you. I suppose. Is that the best
Happy
way?
breathing.
Happy breathing.
Happy breathing. That's why it's great to diffuse during the winter months. It's kind of like in the summer months we have like it, whether it's Sacred Mountain for Caitlin or Lavender or Peace and Calming or Valor or Frankincense, but definitely during the winter months we pop RC in our diffuser. And I've also made shower steamers out of it. So, if you want better happy breathing, make up some shower steamers and pop them in the shower and, you'll soon be doing, Oh, I just realised I didn't change the Thieves. I didn't change any of these graphics at the bottom one. Oh, well, we'll have to talk about this anyway.
Yes.
I was having a few technical difficulties. That's why we were late getting on today, because the fonts that I downloaded, like when I downloaded this from Canva to put into PowerPoint, the fonts didn't work. And so I had to go through and fix it up. And obviously there's a few other things that didn't happen either. But so Thieves oil.
Here it is.
Yes, so Thieves oil is my overall wellness blend, and I make it up into a roller and diffuse it for, keep everyone in the house well. What does it smell like?
Pardon?
What does it smell like?
It smells like cinnamon. It smells like some home cooking, I suppose, and it just smells like yummy that you could eat it. That sort of cinnamon, spicy, Thai. I've never been overseas to that sort of part, but I feel like I'm going into that sort of spicy land, if that makes sense. And it does have a hot lid, like what you were talking about before. So this one is definitely for big hands to use only, not little hands. Yeah.
And as you say, it smells like chai because it's got the clove and the cinnamon. It's also got eucalyptus, lemon and peppermint. Thieves is basically the basis of a lot of Young Living's cleaning products and, their hand sanitizer, all of those kinds of products. So I love to add it to my cleaning and any of my DIYs that I do around that. So, but, generally with children, as you say, I don't use it with babies and toddlers, but with over 3s, I dilute it because it is a hot oil, so it needs to be heavily diluted, but diffusing it as well to keep us all well. All right, what about DiGize?
I hate DiGize. I'm really sorry. I can't stand it, but I love what it does.
That's right, because the thing is that Young Living is an essential oil company, but they're not, essential oils aren't just because they smell good. We use them because they work and they do different things. And so particularly with DiGize, it's the happy tummy oil. So, I use it after a big night out. I use it after I've got, flown overseas and you eat, bad food, all of those, if you eat curries, any of those kinds of things. So, it's basically as Christy said, it's the tummy oil, so happy tummies. But it doesn't smell good, and it smells sort of like anise and fennel and tarragon. It's got all those kind of herbs in it.
Hot, I suppose. Like it feels like it smells hot for me. But
once again, great to be diluted. Rub on your tummy. We talked about this last week with rubbing it the way that the your actual intestines, I can't remember if they go clockwise or anti-clockwise, but giving your child a massage to give them that happy tummy. Panaway. So Panaway contains wintergreen. So I don't use it with young children. I've already talked about how wintergreen is a blood thinner, and particularly when your children are young, you don't know how they're going to be affected by wintergreen oil. But as my girls got older, I have started to use Panaway as a muscle rub by mixing it with coconut oil or mixing it up with some V6 in a roller. And I've also used it, like Caitlin, obviously she's 12 and she's quite tall. She's had some growth spurts. So I, rub it on her as well. So any of those kinds of things. But, I think it smells like a men's locker room. Is that what you think?
Like my Nana, because Nan used to live with us, and she used to have, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the synthetic version, or Deep Heat. And I had to rub it on her because she, because of her disability type thing. Anyway, that's what it reminds for me is the Deep Heat.
Yeah,
smell.
it's because of the wintergreen, and also it's got peppermint and clove and helichrysum, which I absolutely love. Helichrysum as an oil. So, I mean, all of those essential oils are actually in what we call our premium starter kit. But the thing about using essential oils with children, if you don't want to have to go to the trouble of looking up the dilution ratios and working out how to dilute it and all of that kind of stuff, guess what? Young Living actually has done the hard work for you, and they've got this awesome essential oil kit that is specifically for children. And it's called Kid Sense. So there's Refresh, which is the happy breathing. It's basically what I say the RC for children. You've got Kids Care, which is the Kiss It Better oil that I talked about, Kylie saying that. You've got Tummy Jize, which is basically Digize, but for children. You've got Genius. So the adult equivalent of Genius is basically your brain power. It's for focus and concentration and, you know, helping your child to basically be a genius. I don't know. Basically, you know, it helps them to concentrate and stuff.
I love Genius.
The other one, which is new to Australia at least, is Sleepy Eyes. And Young Living has a couple of different oils. And as I say, every child's a snowflake. So you're not going to know which oil is going to be best for your child for sleeping. So you could just use lavender. Gentle Baby was the one that we used a lot with my girls when they were little. It's a blend. Now Young Living has Seedlings Calm, which is particularly formulated for babies. But you can also use the Sleepy Eyes. And the thing about these oils is they're already diluted. So, you know, maybe if you've got young children, like this is specifically for 3 to 12-year-olds. And if your children are on like the 3, 4 or 5 year age, you could even dilute these oils with some carrier oil. But as they get older, as I say, Young Living's done the hard work for you, and you don't need to dilute these if you don't want to. Because they're specifically formulated for kids. And, you know, I love that, because then mums, you know, we're busy. We don't want to have to look up diluting stuff. So, all right. It's funny, I often get messages from mums saying, oh, I researched lavender oil and, you know, and I don't think I want to use it because it's this or it's that, or, you know, you can find anything on the internet these days. But what they don't do enough research about is what's in the products that they're putting on their children's skin. And often, you know, mums are messaging me saying my child's got unhappy skin, or even that they're having, you know, breathing problems and all of that kind of stuff. And what essential oils can we use? But the biggest thing that I suggest to mums is actually to look at the products that they're using with their children and to start cutting out of some of the chemicals. So some of the chemicals to avoid in products for children are parabens and phthalates. Parabens are in a lot of baby wipes and things like that, commercial baby wipes. Phthalates, anything that's got fragrance basically written on the label is bound to contain phthalates. They mess with children's hormones. So it's interesting, as I say, I sometimes get messages from mums saying, I saw this thing about lavender oil causing breasts in children. I say, well, it comes down to the quality and also what else has been added and how much they used, and there's lots of different reasons. You know, and I have lots of research that allays those fears if anyone ever needs it. But most importantly with phthalates, you know, I guess mums are going out and doing research on lavender oil, but they're actually not researching the products that list fragrance as one of the main ingredients. So you want to try and eliminate all your phthalates. Mineral oil is found in baby oil. There's no babies in there. You know, it's basically petroleum-based oil, and you know, once again, I wouldn't put baby oil or mineral oil on my child. So, you know, Young Living has a range called Seedlings, and it's specifically formulated for babies, and they make a baby oil. And oh, look, there, Sarah's got it. She loves to add it to her gnocchi. Do you want to talk about that?
I do. I just unmuted me because so I'll grab gnocchi. This is my little, I've got everything just here today, which is nice. So I was on another Young Living workshop online, and Kylie Bryant shared about gnocchi. And I've always had gnocchi, but I was like, oh, I don't know what to do with it. Anyway, I ran out of moisturizer, and I didn't want to buy more moisturizer until my Young Living order came in. And So I ended up using some of Jerry's baby oil, which is a seedlings range, and it's so beautiful. It's sort of like jojoba oil and prickly pear, like that sort of feeling, which is beautiful. And then a drop of hinoki. And there you've got your baby oil for your massaging before you go to sleep. And then you've got your mum's moisturizer.
I know the products are so versatile. You can use them for so many different things. And best of all, Young Living's products don't contain any of these nasty ingredients. So there's no pegs. One of the reasons why I started making my own baby wipes was because not only did they contain parabens, so parabens are your methyl paraben, propyl paraben, any ethyl paraben, but your pegs, like there were so many pegs, like they would have organic, you know, written on them, like it's all just greenwashing. Basically, they were using terms, but when you got down to it and you looked at the actual ingredients in the product, you would see that there were pegs. A lot of baby washes and shampoos, including a very famous baby shampoo. Not only does it contain an anesthetic to numb babies' eyes to stop the crying, but it also contains sodium lauryl sulfate. That's what foams it up. Or like any product like you know, put in the bath, that like shampoos, baby bubble bath, all of those things called sodium contain sodium lauryl sulfate. And one of the things that if you have a look at a lot of the fine print on children's bubble baths, it'll actually say can cause urinary tract infections. Who wants their child to have a urinary tract infection from sitting in the bath for 20 minutes with some baby, you know, bubble bath? Other chemicals, TA, formaldehyde, triclosans in a lot of your hand sanitizer products. It's a major endocrine disrupting chemical as well, being banned in the USA, but still in products here in Australia. Your talc, I mean, you know, you only have to go and Google and research some of these, why companies are being told to pull talc off the market. Once again, linked to ovarian cancer and all kinds of nasty stuff. Alcohol, which is really drying to the skin and can cause lots of skin issues. Urea, synthetic fragrances I've talked about, and even synthetic colours. A lot of mums don't give their children red and yellow food colouring, but if you have a look at the products that they're putting in their children's baths or on their children's skin, or that's in the shampoos and the bubble baths and the bath bombs and all the lip glosses, all of those things contain those nasty synthetic colours, and then those colours are actually being absorbed into the skin and, you know, doing bad stuff. So I just thought I'd also, you know, give you some of my favourite DIY recipes. This is my Calm Kids roller. You'll notice it does have 20 drops. So you need to dilute it appropriately based on the age of your child. But I use lavender oil and Stress Away. I mix it up into a roller bottle and then I roll it on, you know, when they're emotional. Or my girls last night, we watched The Sound of Music, and you forget that, you know, children respond differently. And obviously with the Germans at the end of the night, using lavender to calm them down and put them to sleep, they needed that because they have difficulty dealing with their emotions and they don't quite understand what's going on. Great Outdoors spray. I love Young Living's Great Outdoors spray. These days I even mix that up into a roller bottle and roll that on. But if you don't have that and you want to have a go at making your own Great Outdoors spray, particularly good in summer and when they're playing outdoors, I always use witch hazel, alcohol-free witch hazel in my sprays, because it, once again, oil and water don't mix and the oil doesn't mix through the water. So you want something that's going to actually break up the oil, and that's what the witch hazel does. I use distilled water. It makes your products last longer because tap water, even filtered water, boiled water, can contain just, microorganisms that cause your products to go off faster. Once again, this is my Great Outdoors recipe for 3 to 12-year-olds. If you've got children aged under that, then I wouldn't be using those oils. I use different oils. I also love to add kunzia. If you've got kunzia oil, you can also add drops of that to this particular recipe too. It's another great Outdoors oil. All right, natural baby wipes. This was one of the first products that I made was baby wipes because it just horrified me. Now Young Living has the seedlings baby wipes, and so you can use those. I make all my wipe recipes are basically the same as this, whether it's baby wipes, whether it's face wipe, makeup wipes, the makeup removal wipes, whether it's cleaning wipes. I just changed the oils out. So every recipe has a unscented bath gel, so whether I use the Kid Sense one or the normal bath and shower gel, and then I add different essential oils. So in the baby wipes, I add the Gentle Baby and just 2 drops, and I do the distilled water. You get a roll of heavy duty paper towel. Now for years I've used the brand Viva because it doesn't fall apart, but now because we buy our paper towel and our toilet paper from Who Gives a Crap, we actually have been using that. I get it, I saw it in half, I put it in. I like to use the old Balance Complete or protein powder containers, and I fit it in there. I add the distilled water with the bath gel. Actually, I put the bath gel in first because remember we put oil in first, then water. So bath gel, oil, the distilled water, and then I put the paper towel in. Once I shake it up a bit, once it's wet, I pull out the cardboard insert, and there you go. You've got your own baby wipes. If you want to do cleaning wipes to wipe down tables or benches or anything like that, then put in Thieves oil. You can also substitute that bath gel for the Thieves household cleaner if you want to make your own Thieves cleaning wipes, or if you're making makeup wipes, you can even add in the Mirror cleansing oil. That's great to add into this. You can put in oils for your skin type, whether it's bergamot or orange or lavender, frankincense. You can even make makeup wipes, I guess, with rose oil if you want. Kids crawly hair oil. So I even make this same recipe up into a spray and spray it on the inside of their hats and things like that. So 1/4 cup of olive oil, geranium, melaleuca alternifolia, which is commonly known as tea tree, lavender and thyme oil. And then I put this onto their hair and I cover it with a shower cap for a few hours, and then I comb it through and shampoo it out. And I put these oils also into a spray bottle. And if you've got a bit of neem oil, Young Living doesn't sell neem oil, but just as a little bit of a tip, you can add a few drops of that to this recipe as well, just to supercharge it. But it doesn't need it, just if you've got it at home. And my chest rub. This is the last of the recipes that I'm going to talk about today. Once again, there's a different one for babies and toddlers, but if you've got a child 3 to 12, 12 drops of RC, 12 drops of peppermint, 12 drops of lemon, and 50 grams of coconut oil. Now, I once posted this on my Facebook page, and I got this comment from an aromatherapist saying, that's way too many drops for a child. And I said, it's not like you're putting the whole 50 grams of coconut oil in one go. It makes up a jar. So this is one that I made the other day. So it makes up a jar that big, and that's what it looks like on the inside. So you're only going to use, like the tiniest of amount. Like you're probably going to get 100 different uses because you're just going to rub that onto their chest before they go to bed or on the bottoms of their feet. So those, 36 drops of essential oil that are in there are actually going to be divided by however many uses you get out of that. So, at the end of the day, there's not that much going on to your child at any one time. All right, so this is the graphic that I should have moved and put before about Sarah, the mother extraordinaire, who has, as I said, 3 boys and is an early childhood educator. Do you want to talk about some of the other products, Sarah, that you have used with your boys? Oh, look, there's Valley now.
Yes. Tell me something. I'm just. Can you?
Fine.
Okay.
So, Valley, just for those of you who don't know, Valley's actually on the autism spectrum. And so that's why Sarah said before that, he has times where he's very active. Sarah calls him her quirky child. So what oils what other products do you love to use with your kids, Sarah?
I need to just go and rub some cedarwood on him at the moment because he's just been playing with the kids around the street and things aren't going his way. So cedarwood, I don't know, just all of those rooty, down earthy oils is what helps him the best. So I pretty much cedarwood is my go-to when he's quite busy or buzzy is our word for him. If you come for a walk through my house, everything I've got in here is just Young Living, because I found that when we started to use these amazing products, his behaviors and things like that just reduced, which was absolutely amazing. So now, like, if he walks down the shopping aisle of like where all the bleach and everything is, because we only use Thieves cleaner, he will get all buzzy and pepped up again. Whereas now, so that's what I have noticed. So basically I'm like a walking Young Living shop because I suppose the chemicals that I have reduced out of his life showed me that doesn't help with our bodies. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't realise how much their children are affected by chemicals. I think they might know that the chemicals in children's diet set them off. Like I know with my girls, sugar and colours really set them off, and then I have difficulty getting them to wind down at the end of the day. But chemicals, nasty chemicals like the ones I mentioned before, that are in cleaning products and in their shampoos and all the products we put on their skin and in their bath, affect their behaviour just as much as the food chemicals do.
Yeah. And even some people tell me, oh, but it doesn't affect my child, yet they haven't actually seen the difference of taking that away to see the difference in that.
Yeah.
So pretty much I love the wipes. Being a busy mum, I don't have time to make my own wipes. So I was so grateful when Young Living brought them out before Jerry was born. So then I could use the wipes on him. And I actually noticed a big difference because he does go to preschool. I can see that difference when we use the ones from home and when he's had a day at preschool, which is really interesting to notice.
Yeah. So what would be your favourite product?
My favourite? I've got so many, but I think I'm going to have to go back to these two, to Valor and Peace and Calming. I think they're always going to be so special, and I use them every day, every single day. I'm not joking. So in the diffuser, before the kids go to sleep, on me as a perfume, I honestly use these two every single day. So I think they would have to be my favourite.
And anything else that you want to say, or what would you say to a new mum who's just getting started using essential oils, or maybe they haven't got started yet?
I would say you have to because it is absolutely amazing. No, but also it's okay to take your time. So it honestly took me, even now, so it took me time. So it took me a good 6 years to gradually stop using, to change my habits, and to slowly develop new habits which were better for us as a family and for each individual child. So it's okay to just swap one thing out this month. It's okay to swap, to do it slowly, to use up things that you've already had just because you feel guilty to throw it out straight away. That would be my biggest thing, is just by making one small step each day. That to me is absolutely amazing, and hats off to you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for your words of wisdom and all your information and knowledge. It's always great to hear from someone other than me. And especially because you've got the boys, because boys are more active. My girls are, they might get a bit anxious and things like that, but they're certainly not as active as your boys. So it's good to know that these oils work just as well on little boys as they do on girls. So thank you. So if you're not already a Young Living member and you want to get started, you know, there's 3 ways that you can buy Young Living products. You can buy retail, which is good if you just want one oil. So maybe you just want to try Peace and Calming, or you just want to try Valor, or you just want to grab a Lavender, then, you know, sign up as a retail member, but you will pay 24% more. So the other 2 ways are better ways to get started. So we now have what's called the customized enrollment or order, which you still get the free wholesale account and you save the 24% off. But the thing about that is you can order whatever products you want. So whether you want to just order cleaning products, or whether you want to grab maybe an Feather the Hour diffuser and some Peace and Calming, or some seedlings, or, you know, you can actually customize. So you can choose what we call 100 PV, which is each product has a points value. So you can choose 100 points worth of products of your choice, and you'll automatically get that free wholesale account, which saves you 24% off those products that you're buying, as well as any products that you buy into the future. But the best way to get started is with a wholesale account by buying a premium starter kit. That's what PSK stands for. And the reason this is the best way is because you not only save the 24%, but you are buying this kit of oils, this first aid kit. You get a choice of diffuser, but you get those 12 oils, including Valor and Peace and Calming that we talked about. You get a hand sanitizer, you get some Ninja Red, the Thieves spray. All of this kit is worth over $650, and you get that for $200, well, depending on which diffuser. But like if you choose the lantern diffuser that's in the picture, you get that kit for $272. So, you know, it's like, well, what, nearly, well, it's over half price, but it's, you know, nearly a third of the price. So as I said, you get choice of diffuser, you get the 12 oils, including the 5 ml lavender, 5 ml peppermint, lemon, frankincense, orange, RC, oh, I've spelled Peace and Calming wrong, Valor, Thieves, Pan Away, Stress Away, and you get the Digest that Sarah doesn't like. And as I said, those other extras as well. It's such an amazing value. So if you are interested in getting started and you haven't got an account yet, make sure you get back in contact with the person who told you about today's workshop, because then they'll be able to offer you support and guidance. If you get started with our team, we have an amazing welcome book. We have Oily Boot Camp. We have thousands of dollars worth of resources available to you when you join our team, including training, great online workshops like this, ebooks. I don't know, what's the best part about being in Team Valor, Sarah?
I just love the unconditional love and support. So like we just are one big family. So anyone can ask a question. Hey, I'm having trouble with this. What do you use? And everyone is different. So there's 100 different uses that people will say. And maybe just one of those ones is the perfect one for you, or like depending on what oils you've got at home, because not everybody has the entire oil kit at their house and beck and call. So you use what you've got. So that is amazing. And the friendships, I must say, the friendships are amazing.
Feels like a family, doesn't it?
It does. And then when you actually get to meet them in person, it's like they're long lost family members. So no, it's amazing.
So it really does make a difference to, you know, the support and all of that kind of stuff. So you want to join a team that has good resources, has training, so you know what to do with your products, because you don't want to get a kit and be left with stuff that you don't know how to use, because then it's a waste of money. You want to make sure that you know fully how to use all of these oils. And we have a great online community of, you know, and as I say, I think it's fun and friendly. So anyway, so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Sarah. You've been amazing. It's always great to have you on our calls. But thank you, everyone who has watched this. And, you know, we look forward to seeing you at one of our upcoming workshops, which we haven't yet got around to scheduling next month, but we'll let you know what they are. We'll post them on the Hot Oily Mama coming events page and on the Hot Oily Mama Facebook page. So thank you, everyone, and see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.